So I recently made a video about how AI is replacing jobs. We can see it's happening. The chatbots, the self-driving cars, like you don't even need to be a technical expert or an AI engineer to see that AI is replacing jobs. In my view, AI will replace most jobs, almost every job as we know it today. And the biggest question obviously is like, okay, so what are we supposed to do about that? Because you can't just like say that and then like not give us a solution. In order to know what the solution is, you have to fully understand the problem. Quick disclaimer, everything that I say in this video is my opinion and it's my predictions, right? You don't have to take anything I say as a fact. Don't take it as advice, financial advice, business or whatever. Don't take it as a fact. It's just opinion and, my own recommendation. So just take everything I say with a grain of salt. So if I came to you and I told you that, hey, I will give you this AI automation that will do 90% or even 100% of your job for you, and you just have to oversee it, you just have to run it, or don't even run it, maybe it does everything. But you will get to keep your same salary. It's pretty much going to come in, it's going to take over, it's going to do all the manual operation stuff that you have to do on your day-to-day. It's going to do all your work for you, and you will still keep your salary. Would you be okay with that? Put your answer down below to that question. Most people, the answer is yes. If you gave me, I honestly, as an engineer, I kind of like when AI is able to like help me solve bugs faster. I don't have to like spend an hour looking for a comma in the code and trying to figure out where the mistake is in my code, right? Like an AI can literally do that in seconds. And that saves me a lot of time. It saves me a lot of strain on my eyes. So that led me to the belief, when I really thought about that, I was like, AI is supposed to make our lives easier. So the problem is not the AI itself. The problem is not even the AI replacing our jobs. The problem is the fact that if an AI takes my job, I will not have any income. I will not have healthcare. I will not be able to pay my bills. That's really the problem. The problem is not that the AI is replacing my job. The problem is that my livelihood is attached to this job. My healthcare is attached to this job. And that's really the problem. The reality is a lot of these jobs that we're doing are actually they're not good for us. Okay. They're not like, I think there's other things we would rather be doing. A lot of our jobs are unfulfilling. They're not aligned with our purpose. Okay. We do them because we have to do them to get money, not because we need to do them in order to get a sense of fulfillment. If we're being for real, most of these jobs are not really doing anything for us in terms of fulfillment, in terms of our health, in terms of our development, right? A lot of people are in these jobs where they have to practically be toxic in order to climb up the corporate ladder, or they have to like kiss ass all day. Like it doesn't make you a better person when you have to operate in these toxic cultures. And the reason for that is because this is how things have to operate in order for money to be made. Right? This is just the system. And the other thing is AI realistically is actually bringing a lot of value to a lot of different areas. Like for instance, AI is being used to diagnose X-rays and tumors more accurately. So if AI does have some positive applications, the issue is not, again, AI itself, it's the way that it's being applied, is what is it being applied on. And if we are using it to replace jobs, the problem is we live in a system where when that happens, we know that the employees, the people who don't own this business, are going to be out of a job and nobody's going to give a fuck. Nobody's going to care. And that's the problem. For instance, radiologists might get replaced by AI, or aspects of their jobs will be replaced by AI because the AI can more accurately diagnose an X-ray. Should we tell people, yes, even though this AI is going to give you 99% accuracy on your diagnosis, we should just not do that and go with the doctor who's going to maybe be like 80% accurate when this is a health thing? Like, is that the trade-off that we should be willing to make? I would say most people would say no. Like, let's go with a more accurate way so that we can save lives. The problem is the way that the fact that we don't have a system that, makes sure people have healthcare, a roof over their head during these technological revolutions that are going to happen. And they're going to keep happening. Every few years, we're going to have another technology pop up. Right? They're going to keep happening. They're inevitable. Innovation is going to happen. But we don't have the social safety nets for people to be able to get through that transition and adapt, to give people time to adapt. So that's the issue. It's not the technology. It's the fact that we don't have a system that gives people time to adapt when a technological revolution comes in, which is why people are very angry about AI, because they understand consciously or subconsciously that they're going to lose in this revolution, especially when it comes to the economic impact. We have a capitalist system which says that the owners are the ones who are going to get the profits. Like all problems, this is a systemic issue. A lot of people will be like, well, why don't just developers stop developing AI? I saw a comment of someone who said that's like asking a gas station worker to just fix climate change. You know, it's like this is too big of an issue for like any individual to really do anything. It requires a systemic change. And when a technological revolution starts, you can't really stop it. It's just going to keep going. There's no scenario in which we're going to go back to a world before social media. There's no scenario in which we're going to go back to a world before, the internet. And so there's no scenario in which we're going to go back to a world before AI. And the reason why I make these videos is because I want people to stop like holding on to this mentality that like, let's just wait for the bubble to bust and then like we're going to go back to the way things used to be. Like it's not going to happen. And that mentality will probably end up putting you in a worse off position than if you just accept it and say like, okay, let's take the problem apart. Let's dissect it. Let's look at all the components and let's figure out what's really wrong here. So basically what I'm trying to say is like, we need to get out of this binary mindset that like AI is good or bad, not only because it's not accurate, but also because it's actually not going to serve you when it comes to adapting to AI. And people need to increase their AI literacy, because if we don't do that, all that's going to happen is that the money is going to flow upwards. Okay, they're going to lay everybody off. The money is going to flow up to the business owners, because that's how it goes in this capitalist society. The money flows up to the business owners, and the rest of us are just kind of like there with our little savings if we manage to save something. And by the way, even if you get a job as an AI or whatever, you getting a job working in the AI industry, yes, you'll make some money, but they'll eventually replace you. And then, which is why I think everybody should just be an entrepreneur. So we really have to prevent that wealth transfer. And the only way that we can do that is by competing. And the reason why we really need to prevent this wealth transfer is because we don't need to be exacerbating this wealth inequality gap anymore. Like losing is not going to be a virtue in this situation, because all it's going to do is it's going to concentrate money to a select few people. And those people are going to have even more power to decide what happens with their lives, to decide what happens with AI. We need to kind of be a little bit more ruthless in the way that we navigate this revolution, because the people that are at the top are going to be very ruthless. I think people should try to work with startups more. I think people should try to start their own businesses more. I don't think you're ever going to catch me in big tech again. At this point, I don't want to enable this wealth transfer that's about to happen. We need to get out of this employee mentality, right? Because the business owners who are developing with AI and who are becoming literate with AI, they're actually going to get rich off of this. The people who are sitting around waiting for a job to be handed to them, which, by the way, I'm going to make a separate video on this. I don't believe that jobs should be handed to us. I believe that we need to be able to create opportunities. I don't think we should be waiting around for opportunities to be created, because if you give somebody the power to feed you, then you give them the power to starve you. And I think it's really unnatural for human beings, or any animal for that matter, to sit around and hand off or outsource their ability to eat. That goes against our survival instincts. This is why when people say like entrepreneurship is not for everybody, I'm like, it's actually for everybody. We are all supposed to be able to go and figure out how to get food, get resources, whether it's money, whichever way it has to be done in this society. We all have the capacity to be able to solve a problem and ask to be compensated or paid or do like some sort of value exchange for that solution, right? We are born with those skills. So when people say entrepreneurship isn't for everybody, completely disagree with that. I'm going to make a whole video on it. So yeah, let's get out of this employee mentality. We were indoctrinated with this mentality very early on for the purpose of making the rich, few people rich. And that's the outcome that we got. Upskill and adapt quick. Don't wait around. Don't sit around looking at these headlines that are saying, I think there was a headline the other day that said, Microsoft is rolling back its investments on Copilot. You don't need to be paying attention to what Microsoft is doing as far as its investment on AI. Unless you own Microsoft stock, you don't need to be paying attention to that. And the reason why I say that is because it doesn't freaking matter. Like some of these things, I look at these things and I'm just like, and I'm not saying it's propaganda, but I'm going to go ahead and consider it propaganda, because I don't think people understand that like the rich have been at war with the poor for very long. And it's been a psychological war. There's been a lot of psychological warfare and a lot of propaganda to keep us broke, essentially, or to keep certain people in power, certain people at the top. And I'm not saying this particular headline is propaganda, but I'm just saying I see a lot of these headlines from different companies where people are saying, oh, AI is failing, investments are failing. I think it's in your best interest to just consider it propaganda when it comes to AI, because AI will get better and it will continue to get better. And a lot of people are saying, oh, there's issues with like adoption, there's issues with cost. I don't even have the time to go into that right now, especially the adoption piece. Like, I was literally just thinking about this the other day. I was like, why haven't the self-driving cars already like disrupted Ubering and like the taxi industry, like to the extent, I mean, they've started, like I've seen people in self-driving cars like using that as taxis and Ubers or whatever. And then I thought to myself, I was like, I wonder why. Like, maybe there's laws, maybe they haven't like reached the level of like, you know, safety that they need to get to in order for them to be able to actually get on highways, or like, I'm not sure exactly why. But I was like, but honestly, that problem will be fixed very quickly as soon as they optimize the AIs enough to prove that they can be safer than other cars, than human drivers. And then, of course, because our devices are listening to us these days, I literally go on YouTube and I see, I think it was a ad. It's one of the self-driving car companies. I think it was a ad that was literally like, we have not figured out how to deal with accidents. So many people have lost their lives in car accidents. And this is why we need AI self-driving cars that are proven to save. Like, I'm just like, bro. So, and when you hear that, like, if you're somebody who's like, I need an Uber, should I go with the self-driving car that has been proven to be 100% safe or 99% safe in terms of accident? Or should I go with the driver who may or may not be under the influence, who may or may not be paying attention, who may or may not be under, I mean, you know, it's easy to see how like some of these adoption issues and adoption arguments that people are making can be easily overridden, you know? And that's why like people need to realize that AI is at its worst, okay? They could get to a point, in some respects, they will get to a point where they actually deliver better quality, and it will be very easy to make an argument. And most people will be like, yeah, I'm going to go with the self-driving car that's safer. Thank you very much. I'm going to go with the AI diagnosing my x-ray that's 99% accurate as opposed to the human that is 80% accurate or whatever. These are just numbers that I'm throwing, right? Like, in order to get people to adopt, you just have to show them that, hey, this is actually better than what you're currently dealing with. Okay, so when people say, oh, there's adoption issues, people are not going to trust the AI. I would not bet on that. I would not bet on that. And this is why I keep telling people, like, stop paying attention to the headlines that are telling you that, oh, AI is it's still, the bubble is going to burst, and it is, stop chasing this shit, I promise you. Because when you look at, and here's another thing that I want people to start doing is stop doing what the rich are saying and start doing what they do. Okay? Okay? Start doing what they do. Do as they do, not as they say. Okay, because when they sit around and they say, oh, you know, we don't really know if AI could, but the bubble could burst, whatever, just to get people not to invest so they can buy more share, whatever. Yet all the rich people, what are they doing? They're putting all their money towards AI investment. They don't even need proof. They know there's something they know that we don't know. So they're starting businesses. I went to start to buy a domain for an AI product that I'm building, and literally all the .ai domains are gone. Like, it's so difficult to find a .ai domain because people jumped on that shit because everybody was going to start building AI companies, AI products, because when the technology first came out. And so I want you guys, I want my audience to, like, don't be last to everything. Don't be distracted by all these things. I don't want us to be last to this shit. I want us to get into AI while there's still opportunity to make money, right? And I know people will be like, oh, it's an ethical dilemma. It is an ethical dilemma. But if we don't do something to protect ourselves, like if you're in a situation where your survival is under threat, you also have an ethical responsibility to protect your own survival. You know what I mean? So I want you guys, I want my audience to be a little bit more ruthless with how you navigate this, because opting out, it's not going to, I don't think it's going to be the best way. But I don't know. You guys can let me know what you think down below. Do you think that we should be ruthless? Do you think that we should compete, increase our literacy and compete? Or do you think that we should just not engage at all? That is one strategy, actually. But I don't know. I don't know if that's going to go well. I think just have another plan, you know. If you want to know exactly what you need to do to get out of the employee mindset and start a business that's actually going to survive the AI revolution, check out this next video.